Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dynamics. In today's tutorial, we are going to discuss and build a sample Spring Boot CRUD application, and we'll cover all the important annotations also in this tutorial. And also, we are going to discuss about how we are connecting to the database, how will we create a record, fetch a record, update a record, and delete a record. So those things we are going to cover in this tutorial. So let's get started. So in initial stage, we have to go to Spring Initializer and we'll create a project. We'll create a Maven project so that we can use it. Okay. So in Spring Initializer, we will choose Maven. Then we will choose com.devmix. Then university. Then project name is university. Demo project for university. Okay, jar 17. Then let's add the dependencies for her. Web is required. Then JPA is required and PostgreSQL is required. Okay. Now generate it. Okay, it is generated now. University.j. Now let's extract it and we'll be import the project in our ID open university. Let's open new window. Now it's open. The application is opened here. Okay. If you see here in the main method, the Spring Boot application annotation is there. In the Spring Boot application annotation, there are three annotations are contains. Like enable auto configuration. If you see here, enable auto configuration, components configuration, Spring Boot configuration. So what is the use of these three annotation? Like enable auto configuration is doing, it is bootstrapping the configurations and enabling the default configuration like dispatcher servlet, enabling that embedded Tomcat server, those things. And there are lot of annotation, lot of configurations are adding by default. And configurations is nothing but this is a class level annotation indicating the class contains one or more bean definition methods. Like for example, we are adding some beans in different classes and we are annotated with at configuration, and in that class what we are defining like at configuration class level and at bean. So at bean will be discussed later. No worries. So those will be inject to that application context so that we can reuse those objects instead of creating again and again, so that those things we can use it. And components can, like for example, if you see here the project structure under this main method, these packages are coming. So whatever packages will be add under this one, by default this components can scanning those things and loading into that application content context those annotations, like those annotations will become, so those annotations loading and it is enabling those features, right? So these three annotations is very important annotations in Spring Boot. Now what we are going to do, will be basically whenever we are creating a project, first of all we can create a health check API, health controller, like health check API. Let's get create a health controller, right? Before that, create a package controller. Let's create all the packages first. New package entity will be discuss about this package entity service repository. Okay. Now we need to add a health controller like health check API. Why? Because for example, if I am deploying the application somewhere or I am running my application, so first of all I have to check my application up and running, or sometime else I want to check if my application is down or up. Those things I can use that status API so that we'll be get to know our application health. Let's create a controller. Okay. So here will be annotated with REST controller and add request mapping slash API. So we'll be discuss about this annotation in some time. Let's add the API. Like, you know, if we will be go to REST controller, if we will be go like, see, in REST controller there are in response body and at controller. It is a combination of these two annotations. So we no need to manually add like at controller at response body. At the same time, we can add only single annotation at the REST controller. Controller like response body is, the response body is used for to binding that HTTP status response, HTTP response, so that it will be binding to that HTTP response body. Those things it will be taken care instead of adding at control. If we are not going to add at REST controller, we can add at controller and at response body also. It will be work. There is no issue. We'll be test it. Now we'll be add just a get API to check the status of the application after we are running the application. So public thing check status. Okay. So there is no input required. Return. For example, I want to return a string only. Okay. Application is up. Okay. At that get mapping slash API status. API status. Okay. So if we will be hit this API slash status, then we will be get this response. If we are getting this okay response, then we are good to go. Like our application is up and running. Now we already, if you see here in the pom.xml, we already added the PostgreSQL and JPA. So it will be asking for the database configurations, all the things. But as of now, we didn't add it. So first, let's test our application. Let's comment it out. These two things. Okay. Now reload the project like Maven clean build. Now let's go ahead and running our application. Okay. The application has started. If you see here, Tomcats 8080. Let's go to Postman or our browser, wherever like get API. So browser also we can do, in Postman also we can do. So let's go to browser like http colon double slash localhost colon 8080 slash API slash status. Right? It is giving white label error. Let's go ahead and check controller API. Oh, we commented out these three annotations, right? That's why. Let's uncomment this, stop this application, reload. Now in next run, we will be commented out this REST controller and we will be check these two by enabling. Okay, started. Okay, we got that. Okay, response in here. So the application is up and running and our application is set up successfully. Okay. Now for testing purpose, let me comment these two, this REST controller and enable this at controller and response body. Okay. Now application start. Let me open in a new one. Okay. Just give me okay. So it is using the same. There is no. Okay. So what we will be do next? Like we will be communicate with the database. So we'll be we'll be configure the database in the properties file, the database configurations. Those things we will be doing now. Now let's stop the server. Now enable that, because we enable the JPA and Postgres and JPA. Let's reload. Okay, now so as a university, so in the application properties, we have to add all the the properties, the configuration related things like URL, host name, port, username, password. Those things we are going to add. So like for URL we can use string dot data source dot URL. Okay, let me copy instead of typing all the things and I will explain those things. Okay. Like Spring data source URL, nothing but JDBC and Postgres. This part will be nothing but the communicating with the PostgreSQL database, like to establish the connection. And this is the host, this is the port, this is the database name. So host means like wherever our Postgres database or MySQL database, wherever it is running, we are giving that host here, and which port it is running by default, like in Postgres 5432 port it is, and the database name is university I'm giving, and data source username Postgres, the password is root to communicate with this database. Like this JPA so hyphen SQL, it is nothing but whenever a like a SQL statements is execute in the console, it will be print the SQL queries like SQL statements to help the debugging, or we can get to know like how the query is generating those things. And this dialect nothing but it is specific to database, like I'm using PostgreSQL database, so the as compared to MySQL database, the PostgreSQL, the syntax is little bit here and there difference, and compared to Oracle also it will be different. So specific database specific dialect, so that Hibernate will be communicate based on that, it will be generate that SQL and it will be generate the connections, those things. Coming to this Spring JPA Hibernate DDL auto, wherever our schema like tables, those things we are defining, so it will be create. If I am giving update, so it will be first check either it is exist or not, then if it is not, then it will be create the schema, or else it won't be. If it is already there, it won't be there. Is like create is there, like every time it will be create and it will be remove the existing also. So this is not recommended as a real time to define these properties. So for a POC perspective, it is okay. Okay. So now let me go to Postgres and create this database. Right. Let me it's taking time. Okay. It started. Okay. Open. I will be giving my password. Whenever you are installing, you have to set up the password. For me, it is root. Okay. Let me create the database. Create database university. Okay. If I will be go to schema, it is a public schema by default. Tables, there is no table as of now. Okay. Okay. Now we'll be go to create the entity classes. Like entity classes, nothing but we will be create the table structures, those things, and we will be define the attributes, those things, so that it will be go ahead and create the schema in the database university entity. So let's define at the right entity and at the right table. Okay, table name universe. We can give name and equal to university. So this entity is nothing but whatever attributes will be defined in this photo class, it will be go ahead and create the schema in that database. So in as a university table, it will be created. So for a university, let's create those attributes like private string university ID private string, university name, private string, uh, created, like not created, establishment date, establishment date. So establishment date we can take as a, date, date of local date. Okay. Then university ID, name, address, private name, address. Okay, private string address. Then these four attributes. Okay, these four attributes. Okay, let's comment it out. This date will be cover it in later examples. Address, and of course whoever created this one, or whenever if we are going to update something, then that time we need some attributes, right? Private string updated by, who is updating, like private string updated date. The same way, like created date, updated date, private local date we can use directly. Okay, let's comment it out these two date objects. We can cover it in later 20. Okay, now university ID, university name, address, updated by. Okay, then will be add setter getter methods or insert. Okay, now in this Hibernate JPA, we need a primary key for our schema. So we can add at the rate ID. Okay, at the rate ID annotation. So it will be considered as a primary key for the schema, or the for the table. It will be considered as a primary key. Like university name, for example, university name. We want to let's at the rate column also we can use column name equal to university ID, and we have to provide the length also. Right, if you see here, default length of a string, or in Java it is string, but if you go to database side, it will be varchar. Default is 255. If I want to give only 10, so it will be, length equal to 10. So it won't be created 255 character, 255 size of the column size. So the column name we can define university ID, like university name, address. Okay. So if I want to use it here, address may be more than 255, right? Okay. Copy paste university address. Okay. Then length equal to, if I can give 1000. So the column of the size it will be create 1000 characters. It will be accept. Okay. So the column name we can define our own way, or else it will be create, university, then the camel case, then it will be generated like this way. Okay, defaultly. So now the entity classes has created. So now what will be create? Will be create a repository class, because for persisting, like saving the data, fetching the data, we need a repository, right? Like find by ID, save, all those methods we can discuss now. Now let's go ahead and create a class. Will be create an interface, university repo, right? Now we'll be define at the rate repository. It is extends from like JPA repository. Then what is the it needs university entity string. The primary key we have to pass it here. Okay. Like JPA, there are two types, like JPA repository and CRUD repository is there. Okay, don't worry. We'll be discuss about in later sometime. JP, what is the difference between JPA repository and CRUD repository, and what are the differences between them. Okay. Now it is there. So if you will go to this JPA repository, there is, there will be a save method. You see here, save 7 plus. Okay. Then find all. Okay, get by ID, those methods are there. So we can reuse those things. Okay, so we can directly use those methods instead of writing a query for a saving. In, Instead of writing an insert statement, we can directly call the save method of this JPA repository and we can use that one. Now the repository class is also ready. Okay, now what we need for writing the business logic, like business layer, we have to create a service. Okay, so basically we have to add a interface like university service. Now we have to add a method word like, first of all we have to create a save method, like, you know, for example. Okay, before that, instead of, in the in the request, instead of receiving university directly entity object, we can create a DTO object. Okay, so instead of using that entity, we can DTO, then will be convert to entity, then we can pass it in the database. New DTO. Okay, let's copy, because in the POC it may be differ. Okay, but we can copy this address, these attributes now directly. University video. Let's remove these things are not. Okay, right now. Let's go ahead and get a setters. The ID, name, address updated by this three. Okay. Now go to the service. In the service, what we are now in the university DTO will be received, then will be convert to university entity, then will be call the save method, then will be save that entity. Okay. Now, and we will be return the university DTO object. So return type is university DTO, then save university DTO will be received at university DTO. Okay. Now we'll be create an implementation package for this one. All the logics will be added inside the implementation. We are only declaring that in the interface. Okay. Service here. Spelling mistake. Let me refactor it. Rename file. Service and okay. Still let's create a package. Here. Okay. Create a class. This implements from university service. Now define at the rate service. Then what is the use of at the rate service? Like in the business logics, in the business logic, in the business layer, we are defining at the rate service annotation. Wherever we are adding our business logic, there in that class, we can define at the rate service annotation. So it will be automatically registered whenever the scanning will be happen. It will be registered as a Spring Boot in that application context. Okay, then over implement methods. Okay, then okay. So here what we will be do, we will be inject that object, repository object will be inject here. Okay, private university repository repo. Okay, then what will be return university repo dot save of entity. What it needed, entity is needed. So we do have university DTO. So now I will create a university entity object. Then what I have to do, I have to set these attributes, university entity attributes from this DTO. So let's go ahead and do entity dot set university ID. So university DTO dot get university ID. Okay, set university name, then set address. Okay. Yeah. The attributes are set university ID, name, address. Updated by, it is not, it is created by, right? So we will be add another created by private string created by. Okay, who is created? Okay, there are a lot of attributes we can add. So now university entity set created. Okay, we'll be add the set vector, right? So we'll be add the same attribute in the DTO also, correct? University DTO here, right? Okay, updated by, now it is not, because will be whenever we are using update, that time maybe someone is updated, that time we can discuss that updated. Now we can set university entity, right? So it will be written entity object, not DT object directly. So entity, yes. Okay. Now again, what we have to do? We have to create university DTO, university DTO response. Okay. Dot by university entity dot get, right? Set entity university entity get in. Then another attribute university name. Okay. Now we can run university response. Details. Will be use some, some predefined methods to copy the attribute. Let's test it and we'll be create this one. Okay. Now this save is there. Okay. Okay. Logic is ready. Now we have to go to create a controller. Okay. New class. Okay. Okay. Controller post mapping slash API. Always you can start the API, the standard, the convention. Actually, it is a good to understand the API and API slash. So, so this request mapping is nothing but like a route path. Actually, we can define our route path, or also in the method level also we can define those things. Now, what we have to do? Like we will be create a REST endpoint to receive the university DTO data, university object data. So those things will be persisted in the database. Okay. And what it will be written? University DTO. University DTO. Save. Okay. That request body. We can use request body to receive in the body data. University DTO. University DTO. Now we do have that method in the service. So here we can do at that autoware private should be service is service. Okay. Okay. We have defined here that service annotation. Okay. University control. Now university service dot save university of DTO. Okay. Now we'll be give the endpoint path, right, at the post mapping slash v1 like version 1 in the real time. For example, if you are adding a functionality for an endpoint, if in future you are going to deprecate that API and you are developing a new API for that same functionality or different type of scenarios handling on that. So instead of doing that one, you can add a V2 version so that it will it will be a step actually. V1 create API university creates. Okay. Now Now let's run our application, then check that table will be going to create, those things will be checked. Okay, now clear it out and okay. If you see here, Hibernate create table university, it will be created now. Okay, let's go to the Postgres and see it. It's created university. Okay, okay. If you see university ID 10 characters, right? The size is 10. Here in its address we are given 1000 or others are the strings. It is created by default size 255. Okay, so now there is no records. So let's go ahead and create the records. Okay, now we'll be use postman to hit the data to hit that API endpoint. Create new HTTP post API. It is a colon local host colon double slash localhost on 8080 because the default port it is taking the 8080. We can we can define our custom port also, there is no issue. So what is that API? Okay, API university slash v1. Okay, slash v1. Okay, so we'll pass in the body raw json. Okay, so what do we have to prepare? Now we'll be go to university. Here we can copy this folder to the okay. So we can remove those things. In double quote value university ID evening one. Okay, colon then sample university. Okay, sample address we can give real also, there is no issue, but we can take it as a sample. So simple. Then updated by for now you can remove, then created by some person. Okay, whoever creating the record, or if we can define the name, those things also. Okay, right. Skip here. Okay, created by, for example, sample. Okay, another JSON is created. University ID, name, address created by sample. Okay, now let's hit it. It's written null. Okay, let's go to the database. Either it is saved or not. Okay, in the database it is saved, but it is written as a null. Somewhere we did a mistake. Let's go to service. Okay, university entity object. This one we have to do response object entity object. Okay. If you will be give the same request, it will be given error. Why? Because already the primary key unique one is exist. Okay. Let's check this case also. Okay. This one also. Let's check it. University. It's okay. It. Okay. Now it will. Now let's create university two object. Okay, it is started. Running. Do sample. Still, let's go ahead and let's check. Right. This query is executing here. Right. Updated by is null. Sample. Okay. University one. So the post mapping is clear now. Now, so this is we are able to save the data. Okay. Now, if you see here and observe, the status is coming 200, right? And headers also some default headers it is coming. But I want to add some customization headers and my own status code. For example, created means 201. Okay. 201 or sometimes 400 or whatever. But in this case, if I want to change instead of 200 to 201, I want to change. So that time what we are going to use, we can use instead of returning here directly entity object, we can return a response entity object. Okay, a response entity object. Let's comment it out this one. Okay, copy, comment it out this one. Now paste it here. Okay, now instead of response entity of response entity of university detail we are going to return. Okay, then what we will be do return new response entity of service class will be called. It will be return the university detail. Then we are going to return http status created. Http status dot create. Okay, now if I want to add some headers also, http headers. Okay, headers. Okay, then http headers dot add up key value we have to pass like header one value. Okay, okay. Now let's run. It will be we can return header. Here we can return the implementation like the data header and the status also. Let's run it. Okay, now it is started. Okay, now university 3 let's create. Now if you see the status is 201. 201 it is creating, and if you see it is written a custom header also, which one we are trying to return. Some cases it is needed we have to return this way actually. So the use of response entity, we can customize our response object, http response object. Okay, now so creation part is done now. Now let's create to fetch all the records from the database. Now stop the server. Okay. Now for that we can use a get mapping. get mapping class. Okay, instead of from here, let's start from the repository. In the repository, there is a find all method is there. Okay, we can use this method to return the list of data. Let's go to the service. Okay, public. It will be written list of university detail. Import this all university. It won't be accept anything. It will be all the records. Let's go ahead. Okay. Now, what we have to do? First of all, it will be written list of entity now. Of university entity. University entity. University entity list equal to repository dot find all. Okay. Find all method. So this university list is there now. So this list we have to convert to this DTO object now. We are written. The sample way we can do it. Okay. Now, it is written this list dot for each university entity list. Okay. Now, what we are going to return list of university DTO. Let's create an object list of university DTO. DTO is equal to array list. Okay. Then here will be convert one by one. It will be right. Equal to okay. Okay. Now copy these three lines. Okay. Let's back. Now this university response nothing but it is there in the U. Okay. In this that in entity object is there. Now we can in the details we can add response object, right? At the end return. Okay. In the for each method. So now put this now in the service the logic is ready. Now let's go to the controller. Like public. You can use response entity also. Response entity list of university detail or in- import this get mapping slash b1 slash all. Okay. Now same return new response entity of service dot all university comma if now I don't need to pass any custom header, only I need to pass the status http status dot okay, right? Okay means 200. Now test it. Let's run. Now we have two records, right? We created two records, three records. Unit 3 also we created. Yeah, unit 3 also we created. Okay, three records. Now it is started. Now let's copy. Now create a new one. Okay, get API all university B1 all. Okay, right? Nothing is required to pass as any. Okay, so all the three records are coming here. Updated by is null coming, right? Because we don't have a record, it is null. Is coming null. Okay, now that get also now done. Now going to I want to update okay some university details, right? Some university details I want to update. So that how I can do? I can use a boot mapping. Now go to repository. Okay, repository. So the save method only it will be work as a update based on the id. It will be update the columns. Okay. Then go to the service public university detail update university, right? What we are receiving? University detail, right? Okay, let's go to the implementation. Override implemented method. Okay, now before updating we have to check either that record is exist or not in the database, right? Based on the id, because id is the primary unique id. Okay, now check in the db. So the repository dot, there is a method is there, find by id. Okay, find by id string id. What is the id? University detail dot get university id. Okay, now what it will be written? It will be written a university entity object of optional. Okay, see, because find by id method will be written an optional. So let's go ahead and return the optional now. Okay, so now we'll be checking that optional in the Java 8. We can check either it is present or not the record. Wherever it is querying, either it is present or not. If university entity, there is a method is present. Okay, is present, then go ahead and update the record, right? Go ahead and update the this existing record. University entity dot get of dot set. What we are going to update? Maybe sometime we can update the address, right? Address address. Okay, from where? University detail dot, from the request from the university dot get address. Okay, and what will be update? Another one, university detail dot get set updated by how we are going to? It may not be, it may not become in request as in real time. We can use from the current user, like from tokens. Those things we will be discussing the later on the video. Current user. Okay. Current user university entity. Now we can save this one, right? University repo dot save of university entity dot get method. Okay, because is present method and get means it will give the object. Okay, now when it will be update, what it will be written? An university entity object, right? It will updated city data. Okay, that university. Okay, why? Okay, university entity update. Now return updated. Okay, now what will be written? Will be written an university detail, like this. How we did here, right? Let's copy this one. University detail response. Okay, get it here. Okay. University entity then created by updated. Copy paste. Okay, then updated by also, right? Set updated by. Now updated by will be used. Okay, and this one. Okay, now let's go ahead and update one. Let's get the update API. Okay, add the redput mapping. Okay, slash API. Sorry, it's not slash API, slash B1 slash update. Okay, click entity of university API update. Right? That request body. University. Yeah. Okay, service return, then we'll be return directly online of service dot update. Yeah, first okay. Okay, okay. Let's test it. Okay. When we are going to use put mapping, for example, whenever we are, in this case, whenever we want to update some existing resources in the database, that time we can go for put mapping. Now let's run it. Let's close these things. Let's run it. Now, meanwhile, let's get put. Okay, let's copy this address v1 update, right? Now, post request. Let's copy this one, right? The body we needed. But here, what all are the attributes are needed? If the university ID is needed, because based on the primary key, we have to identify university name. It won't be changed. Okay, so we don't need to pass it. Address sample updated address. We can updated address. Then another attribute is there. Created by is not required. We need updated by. Updated by. Okay, updated by sample update. Okay. These three attributes is required. These two will be updated by. We no need to give, because updated by will be taken as a current user. The database directly we can see. Okay. Application has started. Okay, application has started. Let's hit it. Okay. If you see here in the response sample updated address, university 3, we are updated. Okay, let's go to the database. University 3, right? Sample university address sample. Let's run it again, this query. It is updated. Okay. It is updated. For example, we can give university 35, because it is not exist, it will be written an empty object, null. Okay, because this is not exist, will be handle those use cases in later sessions, like later point of view. We can add the exception handling, those things we can add it here, like not found. Instead of 200, here we can return as a not found. The record is not there, that's why not found. We can add those scenarios in later point of view, don't worry. Now we can add a delete method. I want to delete an university. Okay. Now in the, let's go ahead. Let's stop this server. Okay. Delete mapping slash v1. Let's delete by id. Which id? University id. Okay. This is a nothing but a path variable. We'll discuss this one. Public. Okay. Will be written a boolean attribute. Boolean attribute, because in delete method in the database method, it is not the return type is void. Boolean delete. Okay. Then string university id. Okay, university id, third part. Okay, of university id. Okay, this is the delete. Now we have added here, but basically we have to add in the service also. Let's go ahead. Boolean delete university by id. Okay, string university id. Okay, the id. Let's go. Now repository repo dot delayed by id method, then we pass it in the id. Okay, so return true. This is the not correct scenario to do actually to delete a record. Let's do it. First of all, check that record is exist or not. How will be? We can do the find by id, right? Repo dot find by id of university id, university entity. It will be written an optional object. We already discussed this one. Okay? Then if student dot is present, then we can go ahead and delete the record, then return true or else return false. Okay, this way you can do. Then go to the controller, return service dot university id. Okay, now test it. This path variable nothing but from the request URI. At the end of this ID, it will map to this university ID and that variable to bind to this value. Okay, let's run it. Now prepare the request. Okay, this is a delete mapping. Okay, let's copy the base URL. API university. Okay, API university B1 delete. Then we have to pass the university ID. What university ID? For example, I want to delete this university 3 or let's delete university 1. Copy, go to here, university 1. Okay, nothing is required. Go ahead, hit it. Okay, now this record has deleted. Go ahead and database, university 1 deleted. Yes, it is deleted. Now delete unit 10 in university 10. Okay, it is not there, it will be written as a false. Right? So we covered all the HTTP methods here. In the coming sessions, like coming tutorials, we can test, like we are not added any customization custom functions, right? We have used only the predefined functions provided by JPA. So we can use our custom queries like SQL queries, like select star from university table, select star from, or select star from where first name equal to, or select star from where university ID equal to, those custom queries and the functions we can add. Those things will be added in the next tutorial. So thank you for watching. If you guys have any doubt, let me know. Thank you so much.